Hello and welcome to listen to about the selection process and eligibility criteria of AI4Cities PCP project. My name is Kaisa Sibelius and I'm the project coordinator. I come from Forum Virium Helsinki, which is the development company owned by the city of Helsinki. Here you can see the evaluation process, which starts with administrative check and continues with the evaluation. In order to be eligible, tenderers must submit all documents and declarations, which mean forms from A to H, and pass the administrative check as well. In case that we will get more than 50 tenders per lot, there will first be a pre-evaluation on basis of the executive summary in Form H. Up to 45 tenders that exceed the threshold value of 5 will be evaluated by the Technical Evaluation Committee. You can learn more about the awarding criteria in another video we have prepared. Finally, the Procureur Steering Committee of the City Presidency will confirm the selection of the suppliers. Next, I like to say some words about the tender documents, and especially about the tender document 1 and tendering forms. You can find another video about the technical specification in tender document 2. Tender document 1 includes guidelines and general conditions of the call, and you can find there an overview of PCP and descriptions of mobility energy challenges areas and sub-challenges, description of the phases and the expected outcomes of the phases, description of the evaluation process and awarding criteria, descriptions of general and administrative questions, including the monitoring process, results, evaluation, and payment conditions. Addition to previous, tender document 1 contains number of appendixes like scoring model for the award criteria and phases evaluation and price scoring model. A tender which you will prepare and submit consists from the several forms which can be divided in administrative, technical and financial section. And forms from A to D belong to the administrative section. In technical section, you will present a detailed technical offer for phase 1 in Form I, which is the technical work plan to outline the idea. For phase 2 and 3 will be published separate detailed call-offs later. In financial section, we are asking for detailed financial offer in Form F. You need to give a binding unit prices for the items and all phases, fixed total price for phase 1 and estimated for phase 2 and 3. Price breakdown for R&D services with location. We are also asking 2 separate prices, an actual price, which is the price for the buyers group and does not include IPRs, and the virtual price, which is so-called market price with IPRs. And we are evaluating only the actual price. The selection of the data sets vary from the city to other, and they are presented separately from both lots. Please note that there might be some overlap and repetition in data sets. The data needed for the AI models is to be provided at least partly by the city's existing smart city APIs. With this resource, the data is structured, documented, and more reliable. The selection of APIs available in each of the city will naturally vary, but the most common ones are for geospatial data, sensor data, or mobility data. In addition to these, there may be useful data sources like APIs created for data-intensive mobile apps that can be repurposed for the AI challenges. If you have questions about the data or APIs in the cities, please send an email to tech@ai4cities.eu email address, and we can help you to find the answer. In the email, you should also mention which city your question concerns. And who is eligible to apply? Here are shortly the general conditions of applying. Although the competition is open to all kinds of companies and consortiums from any country, regardless of their geographical location, size, or governance structure, this is the European R&D tool, and as such, a minimum of 50% of the project activities and budget uses must be take place in the EU or associated countries. So non-EU companies need to work via subsidiaries or in partnership with EU companies. Their funding cannot exceed 50% of the total budget requested. In a case where the selected city in the buyers group is already a customer of the supplier in the fields of energy or mobility, is not obstacle for submitting a tender. AI4Cities is looking for new innovative solutions not yet available in the market, which means that the product is by definition not yet provided by any of the buyers group members. Also, the reviewers are impartial and the evaluation process is designed to avoid conflict of interest situations. Addition to that, the PCP's focus is on R&D, and there is a minimum requirement for at least 50% of the project resources to be spent in R&D. Tenders may be submitted by single entity or in collaboration with others. The latter can be involved either submitting a joint tender or by means of subcontracting or a combination of two approaches. One tenderer can submit multiple tenders as long as the solutions are different, but can be selected only once as a lead tenderer. For phases 2 and 3, participation is limited to tenderers that successfully completed the preceding phase. These conditions are presented in the tender document 1 in the chapter 5.7. Part of the administrative process, you have to fill in the declaration forms and confirm that you are following laws and orders. In Form B is a question about the conflicts of interest, criminal offences and bankruptcy. All these declarations can be only pass or fail. Two other declarations are Form C, where you are explaining the capabilities to carry out the project, which are the core theme and your references. In third form, Form D, you are confirming compliance with the example, the EU financial and ethical rules and principles. And here is the PCP budget per phases and per supplier. And repeating, this is the maximum amount of the funding is a little bit more than 360,000 euros. And here is the payment schedule, which means that in the first phase you will get the 100% of the funding when the phase is completed, and then it will be divided in the phase 2 and phase 3 a little bit more. As I mentioned earlier, IPRs resulting from the process belong to the company. Royalty-free is in this context means that the buyers group representatives would be able to use the solution for a specific amount, which will be specified after the project conclusions without cost. And there is no exact length for the city's royalty-free access, and it will be agreed one by one. Third parties can be cities, subsidiaries or companies owned by the city and are the potential end user of the solutions. They can be, for example, transportation companies. As I have mentioned already earlier, that although the PC is concentrating on pre-commercial R&D phase, the suppliers need to present the business and implementation plans and to be able to exploit the results in 4 years after the end of the project. Tenders must be submitted electronically via the AI4Cities website. Tenderers need to choose for which lot the tender is submitted. And in the consortium, the lead tenderer submits the tender documents and is the main contact point during the PCP. And no scanned PDFs are not allowed to submit. Each supplier will have assigned a contact point and from the project team. And the supervisor of each supplier will be communicated after the award of the contract. And during each phase, contract implementation will be monitored periodically and reviewed against the expected outcomes, like milestones, deliverables, and output of results for the phase. The supervisor will provide regular feedback to the contractors after meetings or visits. And these points are presented in the project introduction video, but I like to include them also to this presentation as a recap of basic principles of PCP. And this is the end of this presentation. You can find more information about the project on our website, or you can always send an email to us. Please note that there are separate videos about the mobility and energy challenge technical specification and project introduction also as available. We have also published a tendering guide, which you can download from the project site. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.